You think you know your limits. You think pain is your enemy. But what if everything you believe about hardship, weakness, and fear is wrong? David Goggins was not born extraordinary. He was broken, abused, overweight, living in fear, but he made a decision. He would never be a victim again. He would forge himself into something greater, not despite his pain, but because of it. This is not a motivational story. This is a war against weakness, and Goggins is leading the charge. David Goggins grew up in a nightmare. His father was violent and controlling, beating his family regularly. At 8 years old, Goggins was scrubbing roller skating rinks until midnight, barely sleeping, terrified every minute of the day. He had a stutter, learning disabilities, and deep emotional scars. School didn't help. He was one of the only black kids in a predominantly white town and was constantly bullied. By high school, he was barely passing, weighed almost 300 pounds, and had given up on life. He was working nights as an exterminator, spraying for cockroaches and hiding from his own reflection. He was stuck physically, mentally, emotionally. But one night, something snapped. He saw a Navy SEAL on TV and thought, that's what I want to be. Not because he believed he could, but because it was the hardest thing he could imagine. That became Goggins' philosophy. Do the hardest thing, every time, especially when you don't want to. The road to becoming a SEAL was brutal. First, he had to lose over 100 pounds in less than 3 months, just to qualify. He trained relentlessly, running on broken legs, pushing past asthma, ignoring pain, ridicule, and self-doubt. He failed his first 2 attempts at SEAL training, Hell Week, but came back again and again. On his 3rd try, he made it. Not because he was the fastest or the strongest, but because he refused to quit. Goggins calls this the cookie jar, a mental archive of every time you survived something you thought you couldn't. When he feels like quitting, he digs into that jar. He remembers what he's already overcome and uses it as fuel. After the military, he kept pushing. He ran ultramarathons on broken feet, completed the Badwater 135, one of the hardest races in the world, multiple times. He became the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces to complete Navy SEAL training, Army Ranger School, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller training. But why keep doing this? Why run until your kidneys fail? Why live in pain? Because Goggins doesn't chase comfort, he hunts his demons. He believes we all have a governor in our brain, a limiter that kicks in when we've only used 40% of our true capacity. Pain is that signal, and if you can fight past it, you unlock the rest. The Goggins mindset is simple, but terrifying. When you want to quit, that's where the real work begins. That's the edge. That's where transformation lives. And it's not just physical. Goggins faced down his deepest emotional wounds, childhood trauma, racism, failure. He stopped hiding from pain and started using it. Every scar became armor. Every insult became fuel. He doesn't believe in motivation. Motivation fades. Discipline stays. He trains every day, not because he enjoys it, but because suffering is the gateway to greatness. He says, you have to build calluses on your mind. He doesn't see limits, just thresholds waiting to be broken. Goggins lives by accountability. He writes down every weakness, every lie, every excuse, and he stares at it until there's nothing left to run from. He calls it the accountability mirror. No one else can fix you. No one is coming to save you. He speaks often about the power of voluntary suffering, choosing discomfort on purpose, every single day. Cold showers, early wake-ups, grueling workouts, hard conversations. It's about forging mental resilience in a world that worships comfort. He believes the path to greatness is through suffering, not around it, not avoiding it. Straight through. David Goggins doesn't care how you feel. He cares what you do when it gets hard. He's not trying to inspire. He's trying to wake you up. He talks about the discomfort zone, that place where most people quit. He believes that when you willingly live in that place, you discover who you really are. That's where greatness is born, not when things are easy, but when every part of you wants to stop, and you don't. In one of his most brutal races, Goggins ran over 100 miles with fractured shins and internal bleeding. Why? Because he said he would. And in his world, your word is law. He sees suffering as the ultimate teacher. When your body breaks down, your mind becomes the battlefield, and on that battlefield, you either become the hero or surrender. Goggins teaches that your mind is lying to you. It tells you to stop when you're only at 40%. It tells you you're tired when you have more. It tells you you're weak when you're capable of 10 times more than you think. But the only way to prove it is to go to war with yourself. He uses pain like a compass. If it hurts, it matters. If it's hard, it's necessary. He doesn't run from fear, he runs toward it. Because every time he does, he expands what's possible. He built his life not on gifts or talent, but on obsession, repetition, and grit. Every day is a test. Every moment is a chance to either level up or fall back into comfort. And he refuses to retreat. He lives by the taking souls mentality. When people doubt him, mock him, or try to beat him, he doesn't get even. He outworks them so completely that they're forced to respect him, not with words, but with domination. But Goggins also owns his weaknesses. He talks about deep insecurity, shame, fear. He doesn't pretend to be perfect. He just refuses to let those things define him. Instead, he confronts them, dissects them, and burns through them with action. He challenges everyone to find their own demons and to stop running from them. The pain you're avoiding is the key to everything you want, and the longer you hide, the weaker you become. The world today is addicted to comfort. We scroll, we numb, we excuse, but Goggins is proof that the path to real power runs through discomfort, discipline, and relentless self-examination. He says, be uncommon among the uncommon. That means not just doing more than average, but more than the best. When others rest, you push. When others break, you rise. His routine is insane. Waking at 4 a.m., running for hours, working out until his body shakes, then doing it again. Not for fame, not for money, but because he refuses to let the weak version of himself come back. He reads, reflects, writes down every lie his mind tells him, and then breaks them, one by one. He believes in doing the hard thing every day, until it becomes who you are. He believes in brutal honesty. No sugarcoating, no victim mindset. If you're out of shape, it's your fault. If you're broke, fix it. If you're lazy, own it. Then do something about it. That's the Goggins way. He transformed his trauma into fuel, his pain into purpose, and his suffering into strength. And he says, you can too, but only if you stop lying to yourself. He doesn't care if you like him. He cares if you wake up at the end of the day. Goggins is not just a man, he's a blueprint, a walking challenge to everything soft, weak, and average in the world. His life screams one message. You are capable of far more than you think, but you have to go earn it. Get up early, train hard, face your demons, push past your limits, and never, ever quit, no matter what it costs. Because greatness is not for the gifted, it's for the obsessed. And David Goggins is living proof